Hey beauty, listen up. It's really quite simple. You're a divine soul having a human experience, and all the abundance you seek is available to you right now. Your assignment is to get out of your own way, become your most aligned and magnetic self, and open up to receive the desires that are placed in your heart. Because what you are seeking is also seeking you. Welcome to the Abundance Club. I'm your host, Amy Wilkinson, soul and abundance mentor and manifestation teacher, and I love that you're here. Let's go ahead and expand and play in this field of infinite potential. Hello, and welcome back to the Abundance Club. Thank you for joining me. I want to share something today that came through to me as a download as I was taking my morning walk this morning. So for those of you that don't know, I live in the Sunshine Coast near Noosa, and I love to do my morning walks. Not every morning, but I love to go and walk the national park, the iconic Noosa National Park. It's divine. Anyway, this morning was a little bit different. I was sent on a detour off the usual path that takes me to Hell's Gate. They're doing some restoration on the path. So there was a detour that kind of took me off the beaten track and to another track that kind of takes you more inland through the national park, where it's a little more dense and beautiful. At any rate, this isn't what the podcast is about, by the way, this little detour, but it's what it helped me to realize that I want to share with you guys today. So when I first met this little detour, interestingly, I felt a little bit of the resistance. Oh, I'm going into the unknown here. This isn't the path that I normally take. And my resistance came from the fact that the path was a little bit narrower. It was dense in terms of lots of foliage around it. And in that moment, when I had that little moment of resistance, I was remembering the fact that we had a brown snake in our front yard a few weeks ago, which I feel like is a story for another podcast. We're all okay, but it did make me feel somewhat vulnerable because it was very close to home. And we're in spring here in Australia, and so yeah, the snakes are out. Snakes are on the move. I love snakes in terms of I love the idea of snakes, and I love them being afar, like far away where I don't see them at all. Love that. Love that. Love the energy of snakes. Love the medicine of snakes. I don't love seeing them on my path. So anyway, that's where the resistance came from. The path quickly expanded, however, into much of a wider path where I naturally felt safer because snakes don't like the wider path. They just like the narrow ones. So anyway, that's what my mind was telling me. Once I met this part of this opening, I took a moment because I had been running and I'd been listening to my music, and I took out my headphones. And in that moment, I asked the divine, God, source, whatever you want to call it, I asked the divine to show itself to me, to reveal itself to me in everything that I could see, everything that I could perceive with my senses, what I could see, what I could hear, what I could feel. I wanted to see the divine in it all. And I'm not sure if you've ever done this, but it is a really beautiful practice to do. So I took my earphones out so that I could be really acutely aware of not just what I was picking up with my visual cues, but sound as well. So I asked it to be made known to me. Show me the divine in all of this. Now, the thing about this is, as you can imagine, it's really easy to see the divine in nature. It's actually impossible not to see the divine. All we need to do is open up our eyes and open up our ears. And that's the gift of our human senses, really. And it's in abundance. It's the aliveness of the trees, the abundance of the trees, the sound of the wind moving through the leaves, the sound of the waves, the sound of the bird song, the incredible bird song that was alive this morning, and the clouds moving overhead. It's everywhere. The sounds of possibly a snake rustling off far away or a bush turkey. So all we need to do to see evidence of the divine in nature is to simply open our eyes. And that got me then thinking, If I can see the divine here, if I can feel the divine here in an abundance, the divine doesn't just exist here in nature, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so, what if we chose to see the divine and even ask to see the divine in everything, in all things, in everything that is going on in our life, in every relationship, in every person, in every situation, in everything? Choose to see the divine in it all. And this, to me, is one of what I would call a code or a fast track to really open you up to the most peaceful life that you could ever experience. And this is both the invitation and the challenge for you in what is showing up in your life right now. What if you chose, because you are a sovereign being, you have free will, and you can choose to change your mind about anything. We can change our beliefs like we change our mind. Our beliefs are just thoughts that go over and over and over again. So what if you chose to see the divine in it? What if you chose to see the divine in missing out on the job that you wanted or the house that you wanted? What if you chose to see it in losing your job, in the relationship breakup or the betrayals or the heartbreak? What if you chose to see it in the health challenge or the diagnosis or the financial challenges? Can you see it in the employer who is giving you a hard time? Can you see the divine in the debt? Can you see it in your trials? Can you see it in everything that you are bumping up against? Because everything that is presenting to us in life is giving us information. And it's giving us information that shows us how life is responding to our frequency. And our frequency is made up of what we think, what we feel, and how we act. That is what creates our dominant, our core frequency. So this gets really interesting when we look at things that come up in our life, and quite often we can have the tendency in our humanness to feel like this is unfair, to label it as unfair, to label it as tragedy, to see that this has happened to us. And that's when we put ourselves into a situation where we become a victim of the circumstances that are presenting to us. I like to really flip it around and choose to be more in the driver's seat alongside the divine and realize that we have an opportunity to flick the switch, to change the signal. If we want something to change in the outer, we need to first be able to make peace with it inside. We need to first believe it and change that signal that we are projecting out of there. So when it comes down to it all, if all there is love, right? We are a part of this one unity consciousness divine source. This isn't just woo, this is science and what we are connected to, a one consciousness. So if that is love, and many people will call it love, the divine, the same expression. So if everything is love, then everything we perceive as not to be love or not to be loving that's showing up in our life, the traffic jam, the guy who cut you off, the big ridiculous parking fine or the speeding fine that are just like so incredibly exorbitant these days, right? If everything that we perceive as not to be love is simply an illusion that our human senses tempt us into labeling as bad or evil or unfair, that's on us. What if we take a step back? What if we zoom out and we actually remember that there is no force in nature that's out to deny us our happiness. There is no force in the world that's out to deny us our happiness, apart from the thoughts that we choose to believe. It's like Byron Katie says, our suffering isn't from what's occurring in our life. And I'm totally paraphrasing this. It's not from what's occurring in our life. It's from what we think about it. It's our attachment to the thoughts around it, and we can change the thoughts. So what if you take a step back and you remember that life always supports you? That's truth. That's fact. Life is always continually bringing everything into wholeness after a destruction, after fire rips through a rainforest or bushlands. Like nature regenerates. Life is always seeking to bring us into wholeness, into fullness. It wants us to thrive. It needs us to thrive. So life is always here to support us. And it's a reflection of what, and a mirror of what we believe to be true. So instead of then being a victim of our circumstance, we know that everything's always working out for you. Everything is always working out for you. And if you find that there's some resistance in your mind when I say this, I invite you to do this little practice. I want you to think about something something that you bumped up against in life that really pushed you up against the wall, where you thought, shit, this is unfair. My God, this is so unfair. Look at this happening to me. But in retrospect, because we have the gift of time in retrospect, and we look back and you see how it was one of the best things that happened to you. And that without that, you wouldn't be where you are today. Can you have a moment where you can reflect on that? And in that moment, we can invest so much energy in going into the drama. We get a little bit addicted to the drama in our humanness. So we invest this energy in going into the drama, and it's just unfair. And yet then we miss the opportunity to actually see the divine in it. Because we know that life is actually happening for us. And it's happening through us. Right? And this is when we tap into the vibration of reverence and appreciation and gratitude, which propels you forward, which magnetizes your abundance and your peace. So we have these two choices always. We can be the victim of circumstance, see that life is unfair in any of these little nuance areas and states and circumstances, or we can see everything as a gift. Ooh, everything is a gift. Even all of those things I said, how can you see the divine in this? We bow our heads and we move our feet. We bow our heads in reverence and in gratitude for all that is. And then we keep taking the inspired action where the divine shows us where to go, who to talk to, what to do, what action to take. So when we make peace with what's showing up in our life, when we see the divine play and perfection in it all, and we have gratitude for it, we become a vibrational match for more of the peace, more of the abundance, more of the things to show up in our life that we would be grateful for. And life then moves mountains to show you your next aligned move, to make it crystal clear for you. This is the play that we are in. And in our humanness, we get so addicted to the hard. We get so addicted to the trauma and the drama. And all of that is lowering our vibration, whereas life is here saying to you, look at me, see the divine in this, see the perfection in this. So that's what I want to leave you with, guys, today. This is not a long episode, but it's potent when you let this code in, and it then allows you to step into your most abundant, peaceful era. For you to be the most relaxed person in the room is when you know that everything that is showing up for you is not a curse, but an invitation for you to take another path that might feel uncomfortable to begin with, but it opens up to be a beautiful, expansive path where you are then magnetizing more of the goodness. Life is going to continue to show you more of the ways in which it is love, it is divine. And this isn't to bypass the things that are happening in your life. By all means, we need to feel it. We need to feel the pain. We need to feel the tragedy. Our emotions allow us to shift, allow us to process and shift. And then we can remind ourselves, right? Then we can remind ourselves, aha, This is all happening for me. This is the divine at play here, all of this. And that feels really good when you remember that you are all part of it, that you signed up for this, and that life is here supporting you in every way. And because it is loving, and because we chose to come here and learn in this life school and learn and grow, yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We need to have the polarity. We need to experience the dark in order to fully appreciate the light. But we can take ourselves out of the suffering and out of the prison by understanding and remembering that this is all what we signed up for, and that this is all the divine at play, because only love is real. I really hope that that helps. The little download from the national park that came through today. I will be bringing through these episodes weekly, maybe even bi-weekly. Please, if you enjoyed this, share it with someone that might get benefit from this. All right, have the most incredible day. Love you so much, and see you soon.